5 seconds to go. Start. I have no intention of giving a certificate, about which my honorable friend, Dr. Krishna Swami, was talking some time ago, since anything like a certificate being given by any member of the business community is likely to be misunderstood. Stop. But the fact remains that impartial, observers both here and abroad have testified to the soundness and stability of our finances, which have successfully withstood severe stresses and strains of the changing economic factors, both national and international, and for this the fullest possible credit is due to the wise handling of the situation by our present finance minister. Stop. There have been criticisms on both sides. Stop. Some have described the budget as pro big business, as something which has brought about a boom in the stock exchange and as something which has brought about satisfaction in the business circles. Stop. The fact is that if there has been any satisfaction, it has been due purely to negative features of the budget and not because any positive relief in any direction has been given to business or industry. Stop. It is true that there were certain fears in the minds of the business community that, in view of the expanding and growing needs of the center, the finance minister might resort to certain further additional taxation, and since those fears were not realized, there has been some slight recovery in certain stock exchanges, but that does not in the least mean that whatever relief and legitimate relief was due, to the business and industrial community has received any adequate response from the finance minister. Stop. Para, we have got to face the fact that we are at present engaged in the process of development. Stop. People who talk about UK and USA conveniently forget that these are the most highly industrialized countries in the world, and our taxation system, so long as we are engaged in expanding and building our economy, must be adjusted and linked with the requirements of the expanding economy and should not be compared with the high taxation levels that may be prevalent in UK and USA. Stop. Friends have talked about unemployment. Stop. But whether the raising of the direct taxation levels will in any way mitigate unemployment is a question that should be considered. Stop. If the finance minister gives substantial relief in direct taxation, I think that might lead to an acceleration in the pace of development. Stop. Sir, the directorates of industries of the states, which are the implementing agencies of the programs of small scale industries development, are expected to ensure this. Stop. Therefore, the center expects the state governments to do something about this. Stop. As far as the governments are concerned, they are complacent about all this. Stop. They are blissfully silent about the possible steps they may take in future, at least to plug the loopholes, to prevent such recurring eventuality. Stop. They are not prepared to do that even now. Stop. They shift the responsibility or pass on the buck and say that state governments are responsible because the small scale sector is within their purview. Stop. That is, comma, one stock reply which is often given. Stop. So, comma, sir, comma, this is how the multinational companies, comma, big monopoly houses, etc., have come to occupy a place of pivotal importance and accumulated the riches, comma, in a very speedy manner by cornering all the benefits legitimately due to the small scale sector. Stop. Para. Now, sir, comma, the other day, comma, discussion took place in this house about the amounts held in the Swiss banks. Stop. How this is happening? Sign of interrogation. A study by the International Monetary Fund has confirmed that deposits in Swiss banks are to the extent of about rupees 1300 crores. Stop. At least 15 to 20 times that money lies in the secret accounts of the Indians, comma, in the banks of Hong Kong, comma, USA and several other places. Stop. Sir, comma, it is estimated that the total amount thus comes to about rupees 30,000 crores. Stop. This figure is again escalating at the rate of 15 to 20% per year. Stop. Last year, foreign trade was of the order of about rupees 3,000 crores. Stop. At least 10% of this cost goes towards secret accounts which covers trade only. Stop. There are defense and other contracts also. Stop. Therefore, comma, we can very well understand what will happen in that sector also. Stop. Instead of the money being made available for this country, comma, it is being kept elsewhere in furtherance of their own interest. Stop. It is not available for any national purpose and developmental purpose. Stop. Honorable Sir, comma, I want to make a passing reference to the big business, comma, entering into small scale sectors, comma, and cornering all the incentives, comma, concessions and exemptions due to small scale sectors. Stop. With a view to harness these benefits, comma, large houses have started setting up their own units in the small scale sectors. Stop. Para. Prominent monopoly houses and FERA companies have done so and are still doing this. Stop. Some of the small scale sector enterprises are owned by the multinational companies. Stop. Small scale units are small because of the limited resources of the entrepreneur. Stop. The definition of the small scale sector, which is so changed as to permit monopoly houses to enter into the small scale sector. Stop. Therefore, comma, what I urge, comma, that the minister should give a considered thought to the definition of the small scale sector, which is giving every scope to the multinationals to enter into small scale sector and corner all the benefits. Stop. The monopoly houses enter the small scale sector. Stop. And several companies numbering 290 are in the small scale sector because of the lacunae in the definition which is deliberately retained. Stop. I use the word deliberately. Stop. I am sorry, semicolon, if I am wrong, I may be corrected. Stop. I will be too happy for that corrections. Stop. Large houses entry in the small scale sector by virtue of their large resources, both technical and commercial, places the real small scale manufacturer at a definite disadvantage. Stop. He is eliminated, comma, he is being annihilated, comma, The big shark is eating the small fish. Stop. There is no turnover ceiling. Stop. There is no reference to the character of ownership. Stop. There is a constant upward revision of investment ceiling. Stop.